The early history of Islam begins with the life of the Prophet Muhammad, born in the bustling city of Mecca around 570 CE. Raised as an orphan by his uncle Abu Talib, Muhammad grew up in a society steeped in tribal traditions and polytheistic beliefs. Despite his modest beginnings, he earned a reputation for his honesty and integrity, qualities that earned him the nickname Al-Amin, the trustworthy. At the age of 40, Muhammad's life took a profound turn during a retreat in the cave of Hira, where he experienced a divine revelation. The angel Gabriel appeared to him, conveying the first of many messages that would become the Quran, the holy book of Islam. These revelations, emphasizing monotheism, social justice, and moral conduct, challenged the existing social and religious order of Mecca. Initially, Muhammad's message attracted a small group of followers, including his wife Khadijah and his close friend Abu Bakr. However, as his teachings began to gain traction, they also attracted the ire of Mecca's powerful leaders, who saw them as a threat to their authority and the lucrative pilgrimage trade centered around the Kaaba, which housed idols of various deities. Facing growing persecution, Muhammad and his followers endured hardships and boycotts. The situation became so dire that in 622 CE, Muhammad accepted an invitation from the leaders of Yathrib, later known as Medina, to mediate tribal disputes and establish a new community. This migration, known as the Hijra, marks the beginning of the Islamic calendar. In Medina, Muhammad assumed both spiritual and political leadership, uniting diverse tribes under the banner of Islam. The nascent Muslim community faced continued hostility from Mecca, leading to several battles, including the significant battles of Badr, Uhud, and the Trench. Despite these conflicts, Muhammad's charisma and the appeal of his message saw the Muslim ranks swell. By 630 CE, Muhammad's influence was undeniable, and he returned to Mecca in a peaceful conquest, purging the Kaaba of idols, re-establishing it as the holiest site in Islam. His final years were marked by consolidating the Muslim community and delivering his farewell sermon, which encapsulated his teachings on equality, justice, and piety. Muhammad's death in 632 CE left a leadership vacuum that his closest companions swiftly addressed. The subsequent era, known as the Caliphate, saw the Muslim community led by caliphs, starting with Abu Bakr, a trusted companion of Muhammad. The early caliphs, known as the Rashidun or rightly guided caliphs, were tasked with preserving and expanding the Islamic State. Abu Bakr's brief but pivotal leadership quelled internal dissent through the Ridda Wars, ensuring the unity of the Muslim community. Under the subsequent caliphs, Umar ibn al-Khattab, Uthman ibn Affan, and Ali ibn Abi Talib, the Islamic Empire expanded at an unprecedented rate. Umar's 10-year caliphate witnessed the conquest of vast territories, including the Sasanian Empire in Persia and significant portions of the Byzantine Empire, bringing regions like Syria, Egypt, and Iraq under Muslim control. These conquests were not just military triumphs, but also facilitated the spread of Islamic culture, law, and administration. Uthman's era was notable for the compilation of the Quran into a single authoritative text, ensuring the preservation of Muhammad's revelations. However, his rule also saw increasing internal strife, culminating in his assassination, a precursor to the first major civil war in Islamic history, the First Fitna. Ali's caliphate was marred by conflict and dissent, notably the Battle of the Camel and the Battle of Siffin, which pitted him against factions led by Aisha, Muhammad's widow, and Muawiyah, the governor of Syria. Ali's assassination in 6061 CE marked the end of the Rashidun Caliphate and the rise of the Umayyad Caliphate under Muawiyah. The Umayyad dynasty, centered in Damascus, further expanded the empire, reaching as far west as Spain and as far east as the Indus River. The Umayyads were instrumental in administrative and economic reforms, establishing Arabic as the empire's official language and initiating significant architectural projects like the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. Despite their achievements, the Umayyads faced criticism for their autocratic rule and were eventually overthrown by the Abbasid dynasty in 750 CE. The Abbasid Caliphate, with its capital in Baghdad, heralded a golden age of Islamic civilization. Under the Abbasids, particularly during the reigns of Harun al-Rashid and his son al-Mamun, the Islamic world became a beacon of learning, culture, and scientific advancement. The establishment of the House of Wisdom in Baghdad exemplified this intellectual fervor, attracting scholars from various parts of the world who translated and built upon the works of Greek, Persian, and Indian scholars. Islamic scholars made groundbreaking contributions across numerous fields. In mathematics, figures like al-Khwarizmi developed algebra, a term derived from his book Al-Kitab al-Mukhtasar fi Hisab al-Jabr wal-Muqabala. In medicine, scholars such as Al-Razi and Ibn Sina, Avicenna, wrote comprehensive medical encyclopedias that remained authoritative in Europe for centuries. Astronomers like Al-Battani improved the accuracy of astronomical measurements, while polymaths like Al-Farabi and Ibn Rushd, Averroes, made significant strides in philosophy, harmonizing Greek philosophical traditions with Islamic thought. The arts and architecture flourished as well, with intricate geometric patterns and arabesques adorning mosques and palaces. The influence of Islamic architecture extended from the Alhambra in Spain to the Selimiye Mosque in Turkey. Literature thrived, with poets like Rumi and Al-Mutanabi producing timeless works, and the compilation of folk tales in 1001 Nights, reflecting the rich cultural tapestry of the Islamic world. This golden age was not limited to intellectual pursuits. It also saw the establishment of trade networks that connected the Islamic world from the Atlantic Ocean to the Indian subcontinent and beyond. Muslim traders and explorers, such as Ibn Battuta, documented their extensive travels, contributing to a global exchange of goods, ideas, and technologies. The spread of paper-making techniques from China, for instance, revolutionized the production of books, further aiding the dissemination of knowledge. The Abbasid era also witnessed the rise of powerful regional dynasties, such as the Fatimids in North Africa and the Seljuks in Anatolia and Persia, each contributing to the diversity and complexity of Islamic civilization. However, by the 13th century, the Abbasid Caliphate's political power waned, culminating in the devastating Mongol sack of Baghdad in 1258 CE. Despite this decline, the intellectual and cultural achievements of the Islamic Golden Age left an indelible mark on world history, influencing the Renaissance in Europe and laying the groundwork for modern science and philosophy. The legacy of these early centuries of Islam is a testament to a civilization that, at its height, fostered an environment where knowledge, culture, and faith coexisted and flourished, setting the stage for future generations to build upon its foundations. The period following the Abbasid Caliphate saw the emergence of three major Islamic empires that left a lasting legacy on world history: the Ottomans, the Safavids, and the Mughals. Each of these empires not only extended the reach of Islam but also contributed significantly to art, architecture, and governance. The Ottoman Empire, founded in the late 13th century by Osman Fern, rose to prominence with the conquest of Constantinople in 1453 under Sultan Mehmed II, marking the end of the Byzantine Empire. Constantinople, renamed Istanbul, became the new capital, transforming into a thriving center of trade, culture, and administration. The Ottomans excelled in military prowess, employing elite Janissary corps and advanced siege techniques. Their naval power extended across the Mediterranean, securing vital trade routes. Under the rule of Suleiman the Magnificent in the 16th century, the Ottoman Empire reached its zenith. Suleiman's reign was characterized by territorial expansion, administrative reform, and cultural patronage. He codified laws in the Qanun, which complemented Islamic Sharia law, creating a stable and just legal system. Architecturally, the Ottomans left an indelible mark with structures like the Süleymaniye Mosque in Istanbul, designed by the renowned architect Mimar Sinan, blending Islamic and Byzantine architectural elements. The Ottomans also fostered a rich cultural life with advancements in calligraphy, manuscript illumination, and ceramics. Meanwhile, in Persia, the Safavid Empire rose to prominence in the early 16th century under Shah Ismail I, who established Shia Islam as the state religion, differentiating the Safavids from their Sunni neighbors. This decision had profound implications for the religious landscape of the region, creating a distinct Shia identity that persists in Iran to this day. The Safavid era saw the flourishing of Persian culture, particularly under Shah Abbas I, who moved the capital to Isfahan. The city became a masterpiece of urban planning, adorned with stunning architecture like the Shah Mosque and the Ali Kapu Palace. The Safavids were also patrons of the arts, promoting Persian miniature painting, poetry, and textile production, especially silk. Their trade networks extended from Europe to India, bringing wealth and fostering cultural exchanges. However, the Safavid Empire faced internal strife and external pressures, particularly from the Ottomans and Uzbeks, leading to its eventual decline in the early 18th century. Further east, the Mughal Empire in India, founded by Babur in 1526, became renowned for its administrative efficiency and cultural achievements. The Mughals, of Turco-Mongol origin, established a centralized government that integrated various regions and cultures of the Indian subcontinent. Akbar the Great, Babur's grandson, is particularly notable for his policies of religious tolerance and administrative reforms. He abolished the jizya, tax on non-Muslims, and promoted a syncretic culture, exemplified by the construction of the Ibadat Khana, where scholars of different faiths engaged in theological discussions. The Mughal Empire is perhaps best known for its architectural wonders. The Taj Mahal, built by Shah Jahan in memory of his wife Mumtaz Mahal, stands as a symbol of love and architectural brilliance. The Mughals also excelled in garden design, combining Persian and Indian elements to create the quintessential Mughal gardens. Literature and the arts flourished under their patronage, with poets like Mirza Ghalib and artists in the Mughal miniature tradition, creating works of enduring beauty. Despite their achievements, the Mughals faced challenges from internal revolts and external invasions. The rise of regional powers like the Marathas and the eventual colonization by the British in the 18th and 19th centuries marked the decline of Mughal authority. However, the cultural and architectural legacy of the Mughals remains integral to the identity of the Indian subcontinent. As these empires flourished, the Islamic world encountered the forces of European colonialism and modernity in the 19th and 20th centuries. European powers, driven by economic interests and imperial ambitions, sought to dominate regions within the Islamic world. The British, French, and Dutch established colonies and protectorates, significantly altering the political and social landscapes. Colonialism had profound and often devastating effects on Muslim societies. Traditional structures of governance were dismantled, local economies were reoriented to serve colonial interests, and cultural practices were suppressed. However, it also led to the rise of nationalist movements and calls for independence. Intellectuals and leaders within the Muslim world began to grapple with the challenges of modernity, seeking ways to reconcile their religious and cultural heritage with the demands of a rapidly changing world. Reform movements emerged, advocating for modernization and adaptation of Islamic principles to contemporary realities. Figures like Jamal al-Din al-Afghani and Muhammad Abduh called for a revival of Islamic thought, emphasizing education, scientific advancement, and political reform. These ideas influenced the development of various nationalist movements across the Islamic world, from the Middle East to South Asia. The decline of the Ottoman Empire, accelerated by its defeat in World War I and the subsequent partitioning of its territories, marked a significant turning point. The abolition of the Caliphate in 1924 by Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, who established the secular Republic of Turkey, symbolized the end of a centuries-old Islamic institution. In the Arab world, the Sykes-Picot Agreement and the Balfour Declaration exemplified the imposition of colonial boundaries and mandates, leading to enduring conflicts and political instability. In the Indian subcontinent, the struggle for independence from British rule culminated in the creation of two separate states, India and Pakistan, in 1947. Pakistan was envisioned as a homeland for Muslims, reflecting the complex interplay between religion and nationalism. The process of decolonization continued throughout the mid-20th century, with many Muslim-majority countries achieving independence and seeking to establish their own political and social systems. The contemporary era presents both challenges and opportunities for the Islamic world. The late 20th and early 21st centuries have seen significant political upheavals, economic transformations, and social changes. The Iranian Revolution of 1979, which established an Islamic republic, highlighted the potential for political Islam to reshape national governance. Conversely, the rise of extremist groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS has posed significant security challenges and tarnished the image of Islam globally. The Arab Spring, a series of uprisings and protests across the Middle East and North Africa beginning in 2010, demonstrated widespread discontent with authoritarian regimes and a desire for political reform. While the outcomes of these movements have been varied, they underscore the ongoing struggle for democracy, human rights, and economic opportunity in the region. Economically, many Muslim-majority countries have experienced rapid development, particularly those in the Gulf region with abundant oil and gas reserves. Countries like Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar have invested in diversifying their economies and modernizing their infrastructure, seeking to become global hubs for trade, finance, and tourism. However, issues of economic inequality, unemployment, and governance remain pressing concerns. Culturally, there is a dynamic interplay between tradition and modernity within the Islamic world. While some societies adhere to conservative interpretations of Islamic law and customs, others embrace more liberal and progressive approaches. The role of women in society, for instance, varies widely, with ongoing debates about gender equality, education, and participation in the workforce and politics. In the digital age, the internet and social media have become powerful tools for communication, education, and activism within the Muslim world. They facilitate the exchange of ideas, foster global connections, and provide platforms for marginalized voices. At the same time, they also pose challenges related to censorship, misinformation, and cybersecurity. The Islamic world today is marked by its diversity and complexity, encompassing a wide range of cultures, languages, and traditions. From the bustling metropolises of Jakarta and Cairo to the historic cities of Istanbul and Baghdad, Muslims navigate their identities in a rapidly changing global landscape. The ongoing dialogue between tradition and modernity, between faith and secularism, continues to shape the future of Islamic societies and their role on the world stage. The experiences of Muslim communities in the West have been shaped by a complex interplay of history, culture, politics, and identity. Over the centuries, Muslims have migrated to Western countries for various reasons, including trade, education, employment, and as refugees fleeing conflict and persecution. This chapter explores the historical context, cultural contributions, challenges, and the ongoing quest for integration and identity among Muslims in the West. The presence of Muslims in Europe dates back to the medieval period, with significant Muslim communities established in Spain and Sicily during the Islamic Golden Age. The Umayyad Caliphate in Spain, known as Al-Andalus, was a beacon of cultural and intellectual exchange, where Muslims, Christians, and Jews coexisted and thrived. This period saw the flourishing of arts, sciences, and philosophy, with notable figures like Averroes, Ibn Rushd, and Maimonides making significant contributions. However, the Reconquista, which culminated in the fall of Granada in 1492, marked the end of Muslim rule in Spain and led to the expulsion or forced conversion of Muslims. In more recent history, the 19th and early 20th centuries witnessed a new wave of Muslim migration to the West, driven by colonialism, economic opportunities, and political upheavals. France, for example, saw significant immigration from its colonies in North Africa, particularly Algeria, Tunisia, and Morocco. Similarly, Britain attracted immigrants from its colonies in South Asia, including India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. These immigrant communities initially faced challenges of discrimination and marginalization, but gradually began to establish themselves in their new homelands. The post-World War II era brought about another significant wave of Muslim migration to Western countries, particularly Europe and North America. Economic reconstruction and labor shortages in Europe led to the recruitment of workers from Turkey, North Africa, and South Asia. These guest workers, or Gastarbeiter, were often viewed as temporary residents, but many eventually settled permanently, bringing their families and establishing vibrant communities. In North America, the United States and Canada became destinations for Muslims seeking better economic opportunities, education, and refuge from conflict. The 1965 Immigration and Nationality Act in the United States, which abolished quotas based on national origin, facilitated a new wave of immigration from Muslim-majority countries. Similarly, Canada's multicultural policies and welcoming stance towards refugees attracted Muslims from diverse backgrounds, including those fleeing conflicts in the Middle East, Africa, and the Balkans. As Muslim communities grew in the West, they began to navigate the challenges of integration and identity. One of the key issues has been balancing the preservation of religious and cultural traditions with the pressures of assimilation into secular, multicultural societies. This has led to diverse expressions of Muslim identity, ranging from those who strictly adhere to traditional practices to those who adopt more liberal and secular lifestyles. The establishment of mosques, Islamic centers, and cultural organizations has played a crucial role in supporting Muslim communities and fostering a sense of belonging. These institutions provide not only religious services but also educational programs, social activities, and support networks. They serve as spaces where Muslims can gather, celebrate their religious festivals, and educate their children about Islamic values and heritage. Muslim contributions to Western societies have been significant and multifaceted. In the fields of medicine, science, academia, arts, and sports, Muslims have made remarkable achievements. Prominent figures include Ahmed Zewail, an Egyptian-American scientist who won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry, and Malala Yousafzai, the Pakistani activist and Nobel laureate who advocates for girls' education. In the arts, Muslim artists, writers, and filmmakers have enriched the cultural landscape, exploring themes of identity, migration, and social justice. Despite these contributions, Muslims in the West continue to face challenges, including discrimination, Islamophobia, and socio-economic disparities. The events of September 11, 2001 marked a turning point, leading to increased scrutiny and suspicion towards Muslims. The rise of extremist groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS further exacerbated negative perceptions, often conflating the actions of a minority with the beliefs of the entire Muslim community. This has resulted in instances of hate crimes, surveillance, and policies that disproportionately target Muslims. In response to these challenges, Muslim communities and their allies have engaged in advocacy, interfaith dialogue, and efforts to promote a more nuanced understanding of Islam. Organizations such as the Council on American Islamic Relations, KAIR, in the United States and the Muslim Council of Britain, MCB, work to protect civil rights, combat discrimination, and foster positive relations between Muslims and wider society. Interfaith initiatives bring together people of different religious backgrounds to promote mutual understanding, respect, and cooperation. Education and media representation are critical areas where efforts are being made to challenge stereotypes and promote a more accurate portrayal of Muslims. Muslim scholars, journalists, and activists use various platforms to share their stories, highlight their contributions, and address misconceptions about Islam. Educational programs and resources aim to provide a balanced and comprehensive understanding of Islamic history, culture, and beliefs. The younger generation of Muslims in the West is particularly important in shaping the future of their communities. They navigate multiple identities, often balancing their faith with the norms and values of their broader societies. Many young Muslims are actively engaged in social justice movements, addressing issues such as racial equality, environmental sustainability, and gender rights. Through their activism and leadership, they are challenging stereotypes and advocating for a more inclusive and equitable society. The quest for integration and identity among Muslims in the West is an ongoing process, influenced by broader socio-political dynamics and the internal diversity within Muslim communities. While there are challenges, there are also numerous examples of successful integration and positive contributions. The experiences of Muslims in the West highlight the importance of fostering inclusive societies where diversity is valued and all individuals have the opportunity to thrive. In recent years, the global refugee crisis has brought new challenges and opportunities for Muslim communities in the West. Countries like Germany, Sweden, and Canada have welcomed significant numbers of refugees from Syria, Afghanistan, and other conflict zones. The integration of these new arrivals poses challenges related to housing, employment, and social cohesion. However, it also offers opportunities for enriching the cultural and social fabric of host countries and for demonstrating solidarity and compassion. Looking to the future, the experiences of Muslims in the West will continue to evolve, shaped by global trends, national policies, and local community dynamics. The ongoing dialogue between tradition and modernity, between faith and secularism, will remain a central theme. By fostering understanding, promoting inclusivity, and addressing shared challenges, Muslims in the West can contribute to building more just, peaceful, and cohesive societies.